Well, hello there again. We've had many, many requests, but we're going to come back anyway. It's the Gun Cranks. I'm Guns Magazine editor Brent Wheat, along with Tom McHale, the editor of American Handgunner, and Roy Huntington, the gadabout of FMG Publications.
Gentlemen.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hello. Use that term loosely.
Tom, it's you when I say
I'll
gentlemen.
take it.
Yeah. Well, we're re-back. That's a new word I've invented. We're re-back with the Gun Cranks. We took a slight hiatus, and Tom's going to claim that he was on some kind of secret squirrel mission. And
no.
Actually, I if anything, he probably got captured and
I
held
was
in a
up in
cell
New York doing
someplace.
chalk drawings of the Wayne LaPierre NRA trial. So that's right. So
Wow.
well, you can't have cameras in there, so you have to get a
How
job
about
to
that?
pick people. So yeah.
Wow. Well, Roy, I saw something the other day. Are you publisher emeritus?
Good God, I
title.
didn't know that. Am I?
Well, that's kind of, you were titled that, and I don't remember what the
I
document
don't know
was,
who
but,
did it,
I mean,
but
you certainly
thank you.
deserve it. I just didn't know if that was a thing. So, Tom, we're not worthy.
Gosh,
we're not
thank
worthy.
you.
So, well, we've got a great Gun Crank show back on this new version, and we're going to get to that in just a second. But first, a word from our great sponsor for Patriots. The power's out, and there you are, sitting in the dark and cold. But for how long? Hours? Days? Maybe even weeks? But you can be ready to protect your family against blackouts with the Patriot Power Solar Generator 2000X. Why? Because this generator has double the capacity, so you can run the big appliances, like your fridge, even longer. You can also run important things like an electric blanket, microwave, RV air conditioner, or even an electric wheelchair. Right now, go to 4patriots.com/gunmag and get your own Patriot Power Solar Generator 2000X before the grid goes down. That's 4patriots.com/gunmag. All right, on this new iteration of Gun Cranks, we're going to start with news and views and go round robin and hear what everybody's thinking about or talking about. Roy, let's you go first
First of
Mr.
all,
Emeritus.
a giant shout out to all you ne'er-do-well anti-hunting, anti-gun, idiot, nitwit, you call yourself uber conservationists and love the animals and all that, but I have news for you. I live in the great state of Missouri, and they put out the world's best monthly magazine on the fish and game around here. And I was amazed, not surprised, but amazed that last year's deer harvest in the state of Missouri was over 350,000 deers. Now, unless you're buying a hunting license or otherwise contributing directly to the cause, you did not help that occur. In the 1930s, Missouri deer were essentially extinct. They had been overhunted through the years, of course, right? Since then, because of Pittman-Robertson Act and taxation and conservation and focus by the Department of Resources here, there's over 1 million deer in Missouri now. So, all you people who are out there picketing and all that other kind of stuff, put your money where your mouth is, because we hunters and shooters are the ones who are responsible for bringing the deer and the little furry woodland creatures back from the brink. And that's my opinion.
Harumph.
Well, yeah, I would say
Good.
that's no.
Great
I'm not,
stuff.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to say I would say. I will say, because it is a fact, that virtually all of the money for these efforts you're describing come from hunters and the hunting community.
Mm-hmm. Federal excise tax, I believe Pittman-Robertson on firearms and ammunition, that's what's paying the freight. So, and hunting licenses, those are a big part of it too. But yeah, if you protest hunting and shooting, well, too bad.
And I actually
paying the
met
way.
somebody who I was friends with them, but they were devoutly anti-hunting. And every year they went down and bought a hunting license. And I went, okay, well, I can't argue about that. Okay,
Exactly.
Yeah, you got skin in the game. Now I don't mind talking to them, right? So, all right, that's it. I feel better now.
Yep. Okay, Tom.
Yeah, mine's also related to deer hunting in Missouri, and I think the big news on that front this week is the Glock switch, which I don't know. I know it's not helping to pay for conservation because the money's all black market. I don't think we get a percentage of that, right? Donated back? Probably not.
No.
But anyway, no, it's big news now. And those in the industry know this talk's been around for a long time, but it's actually becoming mainstream. I think last Tuesday there was a big, I'll put the air quotes around this, but expose in the Wall Street Journal about the Glock switch. And for those of you who aren't familiar, the basic idea is it's a usually 3D printed simple part that you can put into a Glock, various Glock pistols, to turn it from semi-automatic into fully automatic. So interesting stuff. And I think it's interesting because, one, this conversation's happening with or without us. So don't call and complain about us talking about it. It's in the Wall Street Journal, right? What we really ought to be talking about is the fallacy of the mass freakouts over tools and switches and things that may or may not be invented and 3D printed, right? I mean, let's get real about this. We need to think about the real cause behind bad behavior, rather than saying, okay, Glock switches are causing the gangs to do this and that and the other thing. How about let's think about there are people out there that think it's perfectly acceptable to kill other people on a whim. That's the problem. Harumph.
Yeah. I think back to the Kansas City parade shooting. I don't know if a Glock switch was involved, but talk about senselessness. Did you guys see that the reason those groups gave, there was apparently two groups, and they've made several arrests, they were looking at each other. Well, somebody looks at me, by gosh, I'm going to shoot people in the head.
There's
Makes
your problem,
sense, right?
There's a certain really segment of our culture who demand respect, right? But it's in my youth, you earned respect, and then people gave you respect. You didn't demand anything, and they demand this respect, and so they diss me if you do that, and don't look at me, and they're as if they're entitled to all of these things that many people work hard to earn. But man, I'm with you, Tom, and I have absolutely no idea what to do about it.
Well, what I do know.
Yeah, I was going to say I just wrote.
I was going to say what I do know.
Oh, I was just going to say I wrote a piece on it for
we need to do this
the Insider newsletter recently. Yeah, so we can all synchronize. But no, I just wanted to point out that one of our newsletters that you can subscribe to, email newsletters, I wrote a piece about Glock switches and how they are becoming, unfortunately, mainstream. So, okay, I'm done, Tom.
What I was going to say is what we can't do. And the reason I brought this up today, because we all have an action item coming from this. What we can't do is start having a mass freak out about 3D printing and Glock switches, because that's chasing pieces of metal and plastic, and we'll do that for the rest of our lives, right? I mean, look what's going on in England right now. Mm-hmm. People want to kill each other, so they ban the guns. They still keep killing each other, so they ban the knives. They still keep killing each other, so now they're actually going after steak knives and any kind of knives with a point instead of a curved end, like a butter knife. I mean, come on, people, let's get our act together and lean on your chucklehead legislators to address the real problem. And the real problem is behavior, not objects.
You'll get a rumph out of me on that too. And, I think this is actually one of those things, because they've always gone after the tools. I think this one may get so kind of out of control that they're going to have to address the root cause, because these things are bad news and criminals use them all the time because they're inexpensive. They're easy to make, and you can do a mag dump in a second. And It's just making stupid people more dangerous. So we're going to have to do something.
You know
about
what?
the root
And
causes, so.
with the explosion of 3D printers, I mean, you can buy a 3D printer for $150, you know, and there's 10,000 YouTube videos of guys showing you how to do it. And now, for instance, AI, that's actually frightening me now. I mean, we're already at a point now that you cannot believe any video you see. We could be AI.
We are.
I wonder if we are.
That's an idea.
But you can't believe any photo you see. You can't believe anything you read, right? And anyone can have a 3D printer and can do anything that they want to do. And so I'm with you guys. I'm sorry, but we have to come up with some ideas to refocus on the core, societal problems. And I'll be honest with you, I don't even think that we're going to do any of that. I really don't. I think this is welcome to Rome circa 1000 AD. You know, it's like, okay.
Yep. Well, on that uplifting note, I'll take my segment, which is, hey guys, we're going to do a science quiz. Do you know what happens on April 8th?
Everyone's still laughing about the April Fool's jokes.
No. if you, and I would assume whatever day this thing's going to air on, you probably can't avoid it because everybody's got their undergarments in a twist. It's the solar eclipse. Dun, dun, dun. It's April 8th, and the reason I bring this up is because stupidity is going to run rampant. And I say that based on, in my role in local government, we've been planning on this thing for a while. We have thrown money after it, not for public safety, believe it or not, but for bouncy houses and sunglasses. And it's insane. But the reason we're doing this is because the authorities, and probably with good reason, are saying that there's going to be some silliness. And basically, if you haven't read up on this thing, on the afternoon of April 8th, starting down in Texas and winding its way, I believe, all the way to Maine, there's going to be a total solar eclipse. And that presents a lot of tourism opportunities for places like my own little town. Personally, I think early April, there's going to be a lot of clouds and maybe even snow. So I don't know how many folks are going to be here versus, say, Texas. But the point being is we've not experienced anything like this where you're going to have a mass event from Texas rolling all the way up to Maine. And when we've had solar eclipses in the past, they've seen a lot of things like a massive increase in overdoses, traffic gridlock, cell phones going down, not because of damage, because everybody's talking about it and sharing pictures on Instaface and Ugram and all that stuff. Telephone lines might go down. People are going to be trespassing and doing things they shouldn't. So the point being, I'm going to take a trip that week, but I've actually delayed my departure because I've told people if anybody is here and needs shot, I want to make sure I'm here to protect my home and my family. So I'm being facetious. I don't think that's going to happen, but I think there is going to be a lot of problems, especially that afternoon. So don't go shopping. Don't go to the store. Don't be surprised if you've got some people tripping out in your farm field and then getting stuck, or medical emergencies or a delay in response. So it's something to be aware of. I plan to be right here in my home defending my castle. Don't think there'll be a problem, but just keep it in mind because a lot of folks think it's going to be Y2K all over again. Of course, we know how that happened.
It's like people, it's dark. We do that every day. I have no words.
Can we move on?
Yeah.
Because there is something I wanted to bring up today, and that was, if you guys don't give me a raise, I'm going to have to do something drastic, like blot out the sun. I'll give you until April 8th. And then if I don't get it,
I knew he was going there. I'm
blotting out the sun on April 8th. Mark my words.
Wow. Wow. Well, just again, a word to the wise. If you're in the path of the solar eclipse, there'll probably be some silliness going on, and things are going to slow down, and you may have trouble communicating for a few hours. So just be aware of it.
Good point.
Or put your little glasses on and trip out and party hardy. Like
As if people aren't crazy enough.
So, anyway.
God, I know. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, guys, that's this week's news and views. How about we talk about some letters? All right, welcome to the letters segment, and I think this is going to prove very popular because Tom and I will both, well, Roy will agree too, that our reader letters are some of the most popular things in our magazines. So we thought, let's bring it to Gun Cranks. So we're going to read your letters and comments. So leave a comment, send us a letter, et cetera, et cetera. Roy,
well, since I'm not allowed to edit any of the reader mail anymore, what I do is I respond to the the comments on most of our YouTube videos, and generally, I mean, as high as 98%, people are very nice and they're very decent, and they say thank you and a great video and you guys rock and I get your magazines and everybody's nice. Everybody plays together well. But why is it that there tends to be that king of the grumpy forest? And it's that guy you want to give that T-shirt to that says it sucks to be you, you know? I mean, because you have to look at yourself in the mirror every day. And I posted a video the other day, or it was a little while ago. It was on a 6.5-inch barrel 45 ACP contender. And it got a lot of views. It's like tens of thousands of views. Everybody, a lot of interesting comments. Gee, that's really interesting. I had no idea that existed. You know, it's how do I get one? You know, a lot of real fun things. And then just yesterday, this guy says, well, that's a useless piece of shit, right? Just the sweeping comment, right? You know, so it's like, thank you for that bit of input. Well, I dove deeper into a couple of these. Another guy said something similar about a Charter Arms revolver that I did a video on. That's useless. They're a POS. You know, why would anyone waste their money? You know, that kind of stuff, right? Meanwhile, everyone else is going, gosh, that was interesting. Thanks for posting that. I had no idea you could do that with a Charter. I mean, it was very nice, right? And so I wrote back and I said, so what do you base this on? How many Charter Arms have you owned? You know, I mean, are you a gunsmith? Do you have experience with them? Well, I've never owned one, but that's what I heard. So I don't even know where to go with this, but it's I don't know, the keyboard commandos. What is it about some of these people, and our industry shooters seem to really be susceptible to this, that they insist on making these sweeping statements about things they know very little about. And I'll close with one more. I tested a Springfield Armory 9mm Saint, like an AR platform. It's $1,200. Well, it's a really nice rifle. And there were several comments where people said, well, anyone that pays $1,200 for a gun like that's stupid because I can get one for $500. And you go, really?
And it's exactly the same.
And it's exactly the same. It'll do, you know, and it's like, anyway, I don't know. I had to share that. I know you guys get similar letters like that. You know, I read with alarm, you know, so that's all, people. I just implore you is that just stop for a minute, and before you act, stop and think. You know, what is going to be gained by this? You know, if you just want to sow hate and discontent everywhere you go, that's great, but just don't do it here. And that is all I have to say about that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Tom,
I got a good letter from a gentleman named Bill Pickett this week, and he was a little bent about something, but he brings up a great point that I think we should talk about for a second, and I'll summarize a little bit. But he basically said, for quite some time, I've been championing the virtues of the Second Amendment Foundation, which I have, absolutely. I have no financial interest in the group. They just do great work, and they've accomplished a whole lot. Anyway, he was upset and said, look, you know, they don't do anything. They don't spend a dime here in my region. And, you know, the Rocky Mountain region, we're drowning in liberal socialism and they haven't done a single thing, blah, blah, blah. Support SAF? I think not. I'll donate to organizations that will actually support the rights of citizens in all states, not just the high profile ones. He's right, but he's also wrong. And I think this is an important point to touch on here. The SAF does focus nationally. That's their mission. They look around, and you guys know this, but they look around the country for just the right case that addresses just the right issue, that has just the right plaintiffs. And they do this so that this case can be taken on and moved up through the court system, ultimately, if need be, to the Supreme Court in Washington, D.C. That is what they do. And I'm the first one to advocate, join your state organization, absolutely, give them money, fight for the local stuff. But you know what? The local court cases have nothing if there isn't good, solid case law precedent at the national level. So the right answer is really do both. You can, I don't care. You don't give money to the SAF if you don't want to. That's your money, your decision. But don't say it's because they don't support my community. They do. I guarantee you the lawyers in your state are relying on a case called McDonald, which really took the right to bear arms all the way to the Supreme Court and won. And every single one of these cases going on around the country, they're all pointing back to McDonald. The SAF did that. So rant over, just, step back and be careful about assumptions and, think about how this process works. It's 3D chess going on, with the gun rights battle. You got some organizations, for years, the NRA did great work legislatively. They've had some troubles recently, so we got to figure that out. Other organizations like the SAF do the national courtroom battles. Other organizations like South Carolina gun owners, for example, are fighting at the local, city, county, and state levels. So we really have to support all of these folks because they do different things. So I thought it was a great letter. It brings up a great point that we ought to be talking about more amongst ourselves.
Well said. And I think it illustrates what we said earlier about don't just be sweeping negative. Stop and learn first before you open your mouth, Yeah. Well said, Tom.
Yep. Well, guys, I'm going to open myself up to abuse, and I'm absolutely sure that you can handle that role. So let me read, first of all, no, but, you and 10,000 other people. In your article on the Marlin 336, which was the March 2024 cover gun, you refer to New Haven, Mass. New Haven is in Connecticut. Yeah, I have no idea why I typed that. I was working on the story and it just sounded right. So I've even been there and I still got it wrong. So yes, if you're reading the March cover gun, which is the Marlin 336, as I said, I screwed that up. So it's been duly noted. But I've got another kind of a cool story here. A guy named Jerry Goodwin sent this to me, said, I just read the online issue of the December 2023 issue. The article on the M1 Garand by Huntington, Venturino, and Dabbs brought back memories of my dad. In World War II, Dad served with the Army infantry in Europe. In early December 1944, his unit had been pulled off the line for some RMR. When the Battle of the Bulge broke out, his unit, like many others, was trucked back to the front line and told they could find a rifle on the front lines. Dad saw about 3 inches of the barrel of an M1 sticking out of the ice of a frozen foxhole. He broke the ice, dug out the Garand, ran a rod down the barrel, cleaned the action, and fought with that M1. Dad would eventually serve in the U.S. Army for 30 years and fought in Korea with the M1. He worked with the Army test teams to evaluate both the M14 and M16. To put it bluntly, Dad was an old M1 man. That was Jerry, and he closed with, I miss my dad. So wow. Jerry Goodwin, what a great letter. And that's the kind of stuff that we love. And it just makes the others trivial.
Gosh, yeah, I really miss those guys, and we really are just about out of them, So.
Yep, exactly. And guys, I know I did 2 letters. Yeah. I got a third here that I want to bring up and throw this out because this is strictly a gun geeking kind of thing. A while back, I started shooting the 5 5.7 by 28 and now have enough brass to clean and reload. According to internet experts, there's a lacquer coating on each case, and wet tumbling the cases will remove the lacquer and cause jams when shooting. Is there any truth to this? And so, how would you recommend cleaning the 5.7 by 28 brass? And that's James Cox. And let me say that I researched this. I asked Roy, Dave Workman, and Tom. Yeah. So we're all on this video, and the consensus was, we'd not heard of this special lacquer on the 5.7 by 28, and the 5.7 by 28 is not what you would call a novice round to reload. So I've not done it. I don't plan to do it. Any thoughts on the 5.7 by 28 on the reloading bench, guys?
First of all, I think it's a silly cartridge and you're crazy if you buy it. But other than that,
wow.
No, but no.
How do you feel, really?
Said that. If you'd like to do that, please do it. But I think people enter into these things without any sort of forethought about, well, gee, is this a good idea? I think I'm familiar with that note because you sent it, and he said something about, gee, I hope the ammunition cost goes down someday. Well, it's like, well, you bought a cartridge that hardly anybody shoots, made by one manufacturer in the world. You kind of should have thought of that, maybe, So, but I've never heard of the lacquer, and I would say if anybody listening knows anything about that we're completely wrong, make sure you post.
I'm going to answer that by doing something that I think a whole lot more of us ought to do, especially when we're at our keyboards. I'm going to say, I don't know. I haven't heard of any lacquer finish, but I don't know. Never reloaded that cartridge. I have heard, and I know that's a dangerous word, that it is finicky to reload and can be dangerous. So I haven't gone there yet, but not sure I will. Probably won't. But I don't know.
No. Well, you bring up a good point, too, is that a lot of times I have literally, and I know you guys have too, I've had people send me an email saying, can you tell me the website for Smith & Wesson? And it's like, is it just me? But if you could email, then you could Google or DuckDuckGo or, and find that. And so, maybe this gentleman did some Googling on this. I know I certainly did after I talked to you, Brent, and I couldn't find any reference to anything like that. A lot of references to, if you're trying to reload this, you may as well just pull all your hair out now. So.
Hey, Roy, if you need that information, just go to the Smith & Wesson website, and down at the bottom in the footer, it'll have the website down there near the phone number.
Sorry, we're not making fun with you. We're making fun at you if you're one of those.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, whatever you said. Well, unless you guys have something urgent to talk about, I think that's good for the letters segment. Anything else we need to cover? Okay. Well, we'd like to hear from you, and you might have your letter read for better or worse on an upcoming Gun Crank segment. So editor at AmericanHandgunner.com, editor at GunsMagazine.com. If you got something for Roy, either put it in the comments or we'll forward it to Roy. So, guys, you know what we're going to do now? Here, hold my beer. Get ready for the hold my beer.
These are always so terrifying to watch. Oh my God.
Okay, guys, it's the long-awaited, often imitated Hold My Beer Awards. And the way this works, it's kind of like a game show. Our intrepid producer, Ashley, who's hiding behind the scenes at a keyboard, is going to play us a video she has selected from the internet, and we're going to react to it. And I'm really thinking this is going to be enjoyable. So the idea behind Hold My Beer is, what's the famous last words of a redneck? Hey, here, hold my beer. And then, they do something and they're seriously injured or killed. So a lot of that going around on the internet. So guys, let's watch the video. So Ashley, have at it.
Oh, I already don't like it. No.
Both your hands are going to sit inside the pistol. Both your arms, you're going to push with your right and pull with your left. Focus on that front
side.
Okay.
No. Oh, it's cocked.
It looks cocked. Oh Oh, he's going to shoot again.
That's the part where you act like I meant to do that.
Exactly. Aside from getting hit in the face by the barrel.
Oh, my God. It is. It's just they're always these slow motion train wrecks, and you're not quite sure what's going to happen. But I think I just
play it again because you missed the best part at the end. Someone asked him if he meant to do that. You'll have to listen for his response.
Oh, I didn't hear any sound.
Okay.
It's still going to be awful to watch it again.
Yeah, that's the mark of a good video when it doesn't get any better.
Underneath the trigger guard, roll your palms together.
And he even has a patch like he knows what he's doing, huh?
You're going to walk out.
There's that movie thing going on.
Push with your right and pull with your left. Focus
Okay.
on
Lock your wrists there, buddy.
Wait, I wonder if he's the instructor. I think he's the teacher.
Did you mean to do that?
He is.
He is. He's instructing.
Everybody's
Did you see the little saunter there?
Maybe
So yeah, you knew trouble was coming when he cocked the hammer, waving that thing around like a lightsaber. Let's cock the hammer. Whoa.
Oh my.
I think I hear one of the students say, "Did you mean to do that?" And he hesitated for a second.
Yeah.
He goes, "Yeah." And then that's when he felt his way.
A little shuffle step back up to the line, Don't be that guy. See, it didn't dawn on me until the second time we watched it that he was the teacher. I thought he was being told what to do by that guy next to him. Oh, geez.
Okay, so assuming he's the instructor, he's shot a revolver before. What do you think he was trying to do? Demonstrate limp wristing, which shouldn't be a thing with a revolver?
And waving the
what do you think he was
muzzle
trying
around
to accomplish?
and then cock it with the muzzle pointing up in the air. It's like, oh my God. I wonder what his patch said, though. I'd love to know what his patch said. Official NRA certified firearms instructor. Sorry, did that just slip out? Yeah.
I'd say Super Ninja Death Seal, right?
I don't think I can do more than one of those.
What's funny is that absolutely reminds me of the other video. That's like there's only one person in this room qualified enough to handle this.
Oh yeah.
Yes. We need to watch that video someday. That's the ATF or DEA where he shoots himself in the leg
in the classroom
and then pulls out his rifle. Yeah, people are screaming and running.
Put it away.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So Tom, have you done that?
I've not done that.
You are a secret ninja squirrel.
I have not yet shot the ceiling at a gun range, and he came real close to removing his face. Wow.
Yeah. Well, do you guys remember in an earlier Gun Cranks episode, we looked at some videos, and there was at least one that was a double fire on the pistol, and we discussed about on the revolver, and we discussed how that happens. Ow, yow! I'm surprised, And the thing is, if the gun's coming back and he double fires it, that could leave a nasty
it reminds me of those ones, and it's just YouTube video after video after video, and it's 98-pound skinny girl standing flat-footed, and you hear a guy's chuckling, and as they hand her a 12 gauge side by side loaded with 3-inch Magnum slugs, and it's like, I'm sorry, gentlemen, that's not funny, It's like, because you've made an anti-gunner now for the rest of her life. So, well, that was interesting, but I have to go take a Tylenol now.
And some warm milk.
And some more milk.
I wonder what he took after that, because that had to sting.
Yeah, he's probably got this trickle of blood coming down his head. Actually, the funny thing is to think about, okay, now this little segment of teaching is over, and now everyone's standing around out, behind the range talking. It's like, I bet you he just packed up his shit and left.
Yeah, for good.
I was going to say that's what I'd do. I mean, as a student, it's like, I've got an important engagement. I'm out of here. See ya.
Amazing. Thank you, Ashley, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But,
Tom, you're rather speechless about this.
I just keep, I guess I'd have to look at it again. But boy, that was real close to taking out his forehead. So be careful, folks.
Yeah.
Maybe something we should do is what's the lessons learned from these videos? And on this one, it's keep your finger out of the trigger, right? Let's do 4 firearm safety rules. Don't cover the ceiling with your muzzle. There's 2. I'm sure he violated the other ones too. Yeah.
Well, one of you guys just brought up a great learning, I think. I don't remember who said it, but if you're a student, and they obviously didn't know because they asked him, did you mean to do that? Well, obviously no, and that's fine. I get it. If you don't feel safe, and I don't care how inexperienced you are, leave. It is your right to live. So, I don't care who your instructor is, who the class is. I don't care how much it costs. If you don't feel safe, time to leave.
No, you're exactly right. Exactly right. I had some training one time as part of a gun writers group. There was a professional shooter who was there, and he was in front of us, and he kept muzzling everybody on, as he was showing us what to do with his gun. And it was a live gun. I mean, he wasn't loaded evidently, but he would, clear it, put it in his holster, pull it out, and then point it at us as he was showing us things. And it was like, finally, first I moved to the end. And then finally, I went back behind. There was a berm in the back, and I just stopped. And then later on, they said, "Hey, what was wrong?" And I said, "Well, I'm uncomfortable being muzzled like that, so I left." And then now suddenly everybody else was going, "I know what you mean, man. Me too." And I said, "Well, it's like you should have left." Gosh.
Yeah. Have the backbone to speak up for yourself. And I will say, for novice shooters, if your instructor says, "Here, you go down range and hold this target," that's a hell no. That's I want my money back. Right. I'm out of here.
All right. Well, that was semi-fun.
Wow. Well, I'm just amazed that Tom has just been so quiet on this one. He is shocked and horrified. So, and that's good. That's good. So, well, Ashley, you did good on that, and we'll come up with a new video for the Hold My Beer Awards.
Yeah, it's a challenge now.
Gun Cranks Podcast, can't get enough.
Well, guys, this was a fun Gun Cranks first episode back after the hiatus. Any closing thoughts?
We really did. Just don't tell anybody what we've been doing while we're gone. Shh.
Tom, that tattoo you got, you're going to have to cover up. Wow. Oh. I was waiting for Tom to come up with something, but I served the slow pitch, and you just is the work destruction team arrived at your house yet?
Quiet.
Oh, okay. Well, Tom has a little visitor coming, and he warned us that if we didn't get done before they arrived, he calls
work prevention team.
Well, you talk about that, Tom.
Team.
Yeah. So is this boy, the little girl or the boy?
At age 2, they just don't understand work and, hey, be quiet for a minute, and so keeps things interesting.
Yes, it does. Well, we got through this first edition, the first return edition of the Gun Cranks. We'll be doing this, I think, every 2 weeks from now on. So we want to hear from you, but make sure you don't miss a minute of any of the great stuff we do all across our various magazines and brands. If you go to gunsmagazine.com or americanhandgunner.com, you can subscribe, you can sign up for the newsletters, and that's the big thing. You get a newsletter just about every day with all this stuff in it. So make sure you do that. And of course, make sure you visit our great sponsor, 4 Patriots, at the number 4, the word patriots.com, for all your preparedness supplies and needs. Well, gentlemen, this was fun, and I think it was enjoyable for me. I hope other people feel that way. So any parting thoughts as we conclude this first gathering of the new Gun
Please come
Cranks?
back and watch some more, because we need the job.
Or I will blot out the sun on April 8th.
That's American Handgunner editor Tom McHale, everybody. Along with Roy Huntington, and I'm Guns Magazine editor Brent Wheat. We'll see you next episode.
Wheat and his buddies Tom and Roy, talking guns and gear, they bring us joy. From ARs to Glocks, they know their stuff. Gun Cranks podcast can't get enough. Oh, Brent, Tom and Roy, they sure do shine. On Gun Cranks podcast, they're right on time.